Well, for the fifth time in my lifetime, somebody has attempted to adapt Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four. This time, it's Marvel Studios themselves, along with Disney, Kevin Feige, and all those good folks. And tonight, I took 17 and we went to go see it. So, did they do a good job? Was it a success? Where does this rank with the other Marvel films? Well, settle in, grab a drink, let's do it. Cheers. So, Fantastic Four: First Steps is really a step in the right direction, in my opinion, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This might be my favorite Marvel film since Endgame. Is it the best since Endgame? I mean, maybe for some, I think they'll think it is. For me, I don't think this is the best technically made film that they've done. However, it is the one that I've enjoyed the most. So this ranks right up there with Captain America: Winter Soldier for me, along with First Avenger, the original Iron Man. This is one of those movies that you go to the theater to see. It is just good. Basic premise of this for anybody that's not familiar with the Fantastic Four, and this movie does kind of skip the intro. It handles it in a very similar way to the Edward Norton starring Incredible Hulk, where essentially their origin story is told through montage and stories. But you got four folks, husband and wife, um, uh, who are Reed Richards and Sue Storm. Sue's brother Johnny, who becomes the Human Torch, and then Ben Grimm, who is Reed's best friend and pilot. Go into space, get hit by a cosmic storm, and come down with amazing powers. Reed Richards become Mr. Fantastic, who's essentially a living Stretch Armstrong. For anybody who's a fan of The Incredibles, gender swap Elastigirl, and that's where you're at. Sue Storm has the ability to bend light, so she can create force fields, she can push things, protect things, make things invisible, all that good stuff. Johnny Storm is the Human Torch, so he sets himself on fire and flies around, and Ben Grimm is a super strong but extremely soft um, rock guy. Um, but let's start with the positives here. First off, Marvel is always at their best when the superhero portion of their stories is a garnish on top. What I mean by that is that just like in horror, when it comes to comic book movies, you have to have an intriguing drama, an intriguing you just have to have a good story. You have to have good characters, and then you sprinkle the horror on top of that, or you sprinkle the comedy on top of that. With this, you sprinkle the superhero on top of that. This is a throwback feeling action adventure film, but there just happens to be superheroes in it, and I think for that reason it works. It's well put together. The narrative flows well, um, and it's just a good time. It was well worth the time and the money that I spent in the theaters. Um,
That is fantastic.
You're late.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what do I mean? You're late for dinner.
Yes, we are.
You late?
I just said that.
Are you pregnant?
What? You're gonna be the best mom in the world. And you are gonna be the best dad. Just kidding. You are out of your depth. We are gonna be the best uncles ever.
so yeah. So second good thing about this film is the casting, which frankly I was worried about for some time. I thought Vanessa Kirby would do great as Sue Storm. I thought Joseph Quinn was a very good pick for Johnny Storm. Eben Moss Backrack, I wasn't super familiar with, so his casting, I was kind of, all right, let's see what happens. I'm happy to say he plays the role of Ben Grimm very, very well here. The one that concerned me the most was Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. And I don't mean this in any demeaning way toward Mr. Pascal. I think he's an amazing actor. But there were a couple things working against him in my mind when it came to this role. One, fatigue. This man has been everywhere. Between The Last of Us and The Mandalorian, um, the ever-bearing weight of success, or whatever that Nick Cage movie was that he was so good in. The man is just all over the place. He's always on social media. We hear about him all the time. Um, but I mean, I can't think of anybody else after seeing the film. I cannot think of anybody else that I would rather have in the shoes of Mr. Fantastic than Pedro Pascal. He absolutely kills it. Now, there's going to be some people that come out of this movie and look at it and go, well, you know, it's him. We see him all the time. I think he does a very good job of moving into the character of Reed Richards in here. And there is that, even though we don't see the same depth of struggle in the cinematic Reed Richards as we did in the comic books, it's there, and it's noticeable. So I'm interested to see where they take that character. But everyone in this film is good. Natasha Lyonne has a very small role, but she's very good in it. She plays a sweetheart opposite Ben Grimm in some of the films, and then Julia Garner as Shala Bal, the MCU. Well, this universe's Silver Surfer was very good as well. She didn't have a whole lot to do. Silver Surfer was very much a bit player in this film, which I think is very intentional and something that allows them to build more on this character in the future. And I think they absolutely should. I was very impressed with her performance, and the CGI for the Silver Surfer was very good as well. We'll talk a bit more about the CGI as we get into some of the other categories here, but the one character that I think steals the show in this movie is Herby, which, for anybody that grew up in the 80s and 90s, Radio Shack used to sell a little robot called Roby the robot, Robbie the robot. I don't remember how they pronounced it, but he would walk around and he had a tray and he could carry drinks and stuff like that. Herby very much reminds me of that robot, and he is adorable in this film. He is really, he's this movie's R2D2. He's just cute. And he swears. You got to pay attention to catch it, but he swears, and it's hilarious every time he does it. So onto the mixed. Galactus's design for me is something that I both really enjoyed, but also didn't care much for. And I know that's why it's mixed, right? He is as comic book accurate as Galactus could be, and yet still feel real and grounded. But the fact that he is so visually similar to the comic book adaptation makes me wonder why they didn't go full bore and just give us Galactus from the comic books. From a power standpoint, he feels a little weakened. But I think that's intentional as well, and I think we're going to see him come back around. I do not think this is the end of Galactus. That being said, I am really, really glad that this was not a space cloud, as it has been done in so many other movies. I mean, holy shit, we've had, you know, a Fantastic Four film with Galactus as a space cloud. We had Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern, where a space cloud was a villain. I'm tired of space clouds. The music in this film is something else that I'm kind of mixed on. I really, really enjoyed it. I think the theme for the Fantastic Four is well written. I think it's well done. It fits the time period that this movie is supposed to be echoing. The film is very much set in an alternate 1960s. So it's very, it feels very dated as far as the aesthetic goes, but the color palette just livens the whole thing up, and the way they interweave, quote unquote modern technology with 1960s conveniences, I think was very well done. So for me, I loved it. It was a kind of a breath of fresh air to see something that's throwback, but also very modern, because this does feel, in a lot of ways, very similar to the old school alien invasion films that we used to watch, right? This feels like, I'm going to compare it to Independence Day. That's kind of what it feels like to me. Like this is if we looked at all of the different films that have been done, right? All of the different Marvel movies, right? We had the Incredible Hulk, which was their version of Jekyll and Hyde, right? You've had the Winter Soldier, which was their version of like a Manchurian Candidate. We had Captain America: The First Avenger, which was kind of, well, I'm not going to say that First Avenger was a Rambo film. That would be more later on in the series where his PTSD and everything catches up. But in short, they did a good job of making an alien invasion film and then molding that to fit the Fantastic Four, as opposed to attempting to mold the Fantastic Four to fit some newfangled story that just didn't make any damn sense. Which has killed me with a few of their I say recent films, but really Thunderbolts was pretty good. It was prior to that weird Multiverse of Madness time frame where shit just did not seem to work. They made this work. The retro effect is very, very good. Now, I am worried that may turn off some of the younger crowd, just because it does feel so separated from where we are now. The saving grace of that is the fact that we have a generation of moviegoers now and MCU fans that have grown up with this multiverse concept, right? We've seen it in the MCU films. We've seen it in the Spider-Man through the multiverse films, or through the Spider-Verse film, excuse me. Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is not a new concept. So I am hopeful that they'll be able to grasp onto it as what it is, which is, Earth 828 as opposed to 626 or 19,000, whatever the MCU's canon Earth is. They did a good job with it, but still, it kind of go either way. Now, as far as negatives go, I only have one, and it is extremely glaring in the film. Yanked me out of the scene immediately, and while I understand why they were doing it, it didn't work for me. And there's a CGI scene with Franklin Richards with the baby that is just so ungodly bad that I just it killed me so much, because the scene has so much weight and so much emotion to it that it brought the scene down, which killed me, because Pedro Pascal's acting in it was outstanding. Sue Storm's acting in it was good for what she was doing in it. Johnny Storms was great. Ben Grimm's was good, even though he's all CGI. It was just good, and I think the problem is that when you attempt, you can't. This is a hard one for me, right? Because CGI is something that has been relied upon for years, right? I mean, from Terminator 2 and Jurassic Park back then, all the way up to the Avatar films now. So we know that CGI is capable of amazing things. Where I think we run into issues is where we try to fit CGI into an area where we already know the way that things should move and the way that things should act and behave and react, right? The reason Avatar works as well as it does with CGI is because everything is fantastical. Everything resembles things that we are familiar with, and that's how they're able to keep such a fantastic story grounded. But the CGI is a reflection of an imagination, right? So if there's a limitation of the hardware, the software, the technology, you can tweak your character, you can tweak your story to match that, right? When you're talking about adapting the human form to computer, that ability kind of goes away, right? Because the human body only moves so many ways before it breaks or pops, right? It's just human physics are what human physics are. This stretches that. Now, I will say it is the only time in the film that the CGI was a bother for me. The way that they do the Human Torch, I think, was outstanding. It's still the kind of thing where he looks like a giant flame when he's flying, but when they zoom in close, he's still there. You can still see his eyes, you can see his mouth, you can still emote through the flames, which I think was hugely useful. It was very, very well done. And really, that's about it. I enjoyed my time with it. I'm happy I went. If this is a sign of things to come from Marvel, I think we're back on the right track. That being said, I have said that before and been wrong. So we'll see. I'm hoping that this new approach that Marvel and Disney are taking, where they're taking a step back from quantity and digging more into quality, is going to be a benefit. I would much rather spend 10 years working through a long form story that's really, really well done than spend 3 years going through one that's slapped together just to try to make a few bucks. So I hope that they're able to slow down, focus on the quality of the project, focus on the strength of the narrative and the strength of the characters that they've adopted, and do it the right way. If they treat everybody with the same respect that they did the Fantastic Four, I think we're in. I think we're in a good place. And this movie did make me very excited to see Avengers Doomsday, which up to this point I've been kind of lukewarm on. So we'll see. But as far as a rating for this one goes, this is a solid 7.5 out of 10 for me. 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. It is very enjoyable. It's very well made. There are some portions of it that are a bit, just not quite up to, the 9s and 10s levels. It very easily could have gotten there with some either less CGI or better CGI. But knowing the budget that they throw at these movies, I don't know if better would have fixed it. I think they just. I wish they had found a better way to do some things. That's all I'm saying. But there are limitations to the technology and to getting the movies made. So overall, it was good. I would recommend that, if you're a fan of Marvel, definitely check this one out. If you are not a fan of Marvel, but you love good action adventure stories and a strong family dynamic, go see this movie. I think it might change your mind on the MCU a little bit. And I don't think I've said that about an MCU movie since Spider-Man, the first of the new Spider-Man movies. I think was the last one that I said that about. Go see it. Check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. But that's all we got for today. After you get done watching this, if you like it, don't like it, whatever, be sure to like, share, subscribe. Throw your comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts were. I'd love to chat about them. We've also got a new Discord for the Dat Feeling Podcast Network out there, the DFPN. So you'll see that floating around on Facebook, Blue Sky, here on YouTube as well. So join there and chat it up. And then, as always, for a live episode every month where you can jump in and talk to me and one of the other members of the DFPN families as we talk about a movie of choice, along with some tabletop RPG videos once a month, early access to the Smoke Pit podcast, as well as access to the United States Department of Nerds and Cutting Edge Heroes perks and episodes behind the scenes and just random shit talking from us. Be sure to check out the Dat Feeling Podcast Network Patreon. We'd love to see you there. It's not a whole lot of money, and it just helps us keep doing what we like to do, which is just give you guys some content that maybe sparks some thought, maybe makes you go out and see a new movie, or maybe we can help you find a new hobby. But for sure, definitely check out the other shows that DFPN has on offer. But that's all I got, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Again, like, share, subscribe, and until next time, go see a movie. Or just see a movie. Sit at the house, watch one. Get away from your computer, grab a loved one, go sit in a dark room, and just watch something that's entertaining. Get the hell away from the real world for a little while. It's scary out there. But, yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Cheers.